Discuss this in more detail with Palestinian affairs analyst Osama Nazzal, who's live from the city of Jenin in the occupied West Bank. First of all, Osama, thank you very much for your time this evening. These attacks are becoming more and more frequent. How much of a concern is the situation there now? And is there a danger this violence could result in mass unrest?
Yeah, really, what is important here to understand when it comes to the Israeli settlers' attacks against the Palestinians, that these attacks are not random or spontaneous, but they occur according to a plan and a policy adopted by the Israeli occupation government and the Israeli army. Because while the Israeli settlers are attacking the Palestinian villages and the Palestinian roads, the army keeps its presence near the settlers in order to provide the protection for them and to make sure that these settlers are carrying out their crimes against the Palestinians without getting harmed and without having or giving the Palestinians the opportunity to defend themselves. So there is a systematic and method, a process by the Israeli occupation government targeting mainly the Palestinian communities in area classified as Area C, according to Oslo Accord, which is about 62% of the total area of the West Bank. Israel wants to shrink the Palestinians' existence in this area and allow more settlements and more settlers in order to invest in farming there and increase the wealth of the settlers at the expense of the Palestinians. This is the dangerous project that Israel is implementing now in the occupied West Bank.
And Osama, the UN has voiced concern over this escalating violence in the occupied West Bank. It's called on Israeli authorities to prevent further incidents and holding those responsible for the attacks. How likely is this to happen?
Yeah, and this is what worries the Palestinians more in the occupied West Bank and Jerusalem, really, because all that we hear from the United Nations and from the Western governments and some Orient governments only concerned. They are concerned. They are worried about the situation in Palestine. That's all what we hear from them, but they don't take any action in order to press the Israeli occupation government to stop these attacks against the Palestinians and implement the United Nations resolutions and laws vis-a-vis the Palestinian cause and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So condemnations and concerns are no longer acceptable to the Palestinian people. And if we make a comparison, just when Iran responded to the Israeli attack on its consulate in Syria, now Europe, America, and all the Western countries are thinking of more sanctions on Iran. But when it comes to the Israeli genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza and the Israeli settlers' murder of Palestinian shepherds and farmers, we hear nothing but more concerns and more condemnations. This is not enough. It is farcical and it is a bluff by the international community.
And these recent settler attacks, they're part of a broader wave of violence, aren't they, which has heightened since Israel's war on Gaza. But what has prompted this latest round of settler violence? What's going on here?
Yeah. First of all, we need to understand that the Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories are illegal and illegitimate according to the international law and the Security Council resolutions. And the settlers' presence in the occupied Palestinian territory is illegal. Now, Israeli settlers claim that a 14-year-old settler was found dead, but the investigations did not show how he died, if he was killed or he died because of a disease or whatever, we don't know. But the important side is that we are talking about organized terrorist colonial Israeli settlers groups like the Hilltop Youth, like the price tag groups, and we have today what they call the territorial defense units. All these units are armed by the Israeli Minister of Home Security, Ben Gvir, and they are acting in an organized way in order to force the Palestinian citizens out of their villages that are close to the Israeli settlements that are illegally built on the Palestinians' land.
Osama, thank you very much for speaking to us. Osama Nazzal, live there from the city of Jenin in the occupied West Bank.